Hey guys, I just finished my 4-month mini blast cycle, just a cycle in general, which was I finished with doing around 300 testosterone and around 200 to 250 NPP every week. So I was injecting that every other day, and I started right on the new year. I like to start in general my cycles like right at the beginning of the month, because after a few months, I might forget if it's a specific date, if it's mid-month or whatever. So I started right on the new year, which is a good time to start, and finished it at the end of April. So 4-month mini cycle, I would call it. Mini cycle being, it's probably the smallest, quote, cycle I would do. If you went any smaller, sure, you might get some benefits, but it wouldn't be that as noticeable. Like for me, 300 test is kind of like, I think, a good sweet spot for me about how much test to do, just to get that right androgen load and right estrogenic levels, etc. And then adding the nandrolone, the NPP, on top of that doesn't really contribute much to estrogen, although it does. So that's why I don't like to push estrogen or my testosterone too high. Say if I did 400, then if I add the NPP, it might bring my estrogen a little bit out of range that I want to. So I know what it works for me now, because I've done blood work. I did blood work mid-cycle on this. I did it around a month and a half, 2 months ago. I got blood work done, which is a good time to do it. You know, obviously before a cycle, after a cycle is good, but right in the middle of a 4-month cycle is a good time to do blood work, because by that time you've already ran it for a few months. So, and everything was perfect. Blood work, you know, things like red blood cell count, hematocrit, we're on the higher end of healthy range, which is fine. I'd rather it be on the higher end than the lower end, but that's completely normal when taking any type of steroids, right? So it does increase red blood cell count. As long as my blood isn't too thick, I'm fine, like in a dangerous range. That's fine for me. And so essentially everything was, like I mentioned, on my blood work was fine, but and so everything was safe, but as well it was effective. That's what I always state in my videos. Safe and effective is going to be the key thing, because if it's not effective, then what's the point? And if it's not safe, then that's not great either. So you kind of want, but you are doing steroids, so there's always going to be some element of risk involved. That's just the nature of the game. But obviously we're playing the long game here, and now I'm getting into my older years in life. I just turned 42 years old about a week ago. So, you know, I want to keep it safe. I want to keep my cardiovascular, heart health safe. I want to keep everything healthy. But let's talk about the benefits. When I go to the gym, I was able to push considerable amount of weight that I was happy with. You know, I would go on pull-ups and I would do like 12 or 15 reps. That's within range of what is acceptable for me, like to keep my health in good order, and do that for multiple sets. Bench press machine, you know, I can go pretty much full stacks on that if I wanted to, you know, rep that out. You know, so everything is, you know, I did lots of arms this last cycle. It was kind of more arm focused, arm dominated kind of cycle, if you want to call it a training block, focusing on my arms. And so I did a lot of bicep, I did a lot of tricep work. I did days where I just did nothing but working biceps or nothing but triceps, but sometimes I, you know, obviously when you do like a push day, you incorporate like things like triceps. So yeah, overall it was very good. You know, it wasn't anything too dramatic like in previous cycles, but that's okay for me. That's totally fine for me, like because again, you know, that comes with a cost. And when you finish the cycle and you go off for a while, like a lot of those gains, not all of them, but a lot of them get lost anyway. So those types of gains are sometimes only temporary, you know. So meanwhile, I think if you just run smaller amounts of gear, smaller but still considerable, like I was still doing half gram of gear, right? That's still a considerable amount. So it's technically not even cool mini. It's a proper cycle, but it's on the lower end of what a lot of people do. But it was still very effective enough where I was getting results, and I felt amazing. It didn't affect, but you know, sometimes by the end of a cycle, even like by the end of a 3-month cycle, if you're running a lot of gear, like kind of weighs down on you, and it takes a toll. There's a lot of stresses involved. Sometimes you feel like shit, and then when you go back onto a TRT, you feel like amazing, right? On this, it's like I never really got that like weight of feeling like there's anything really stressing me out too much. But I still only ran it for 4 months. I could probably pushed it a little more, but it's better to err on the side of caution and just go back to a TRT. TRT you at least maintain the gains to an extent. You might lose a little bit, but that's fine. You might lose a little bit of strength or a little bit of size, but that's fine. It's part of it's just part of how things work when you run cycles. It's natural. Well, it's not natural, if you know what I mean. But as far as what I'm going to go from here, which is just run my I have prescription TRT, so I'm going to be running around 130 milligrams a week, 140-ish, and for the next 2 months, because every few months or so I have to get blood work done. So by the time, I don't want to get the blood work done for my doctor when I'm doing a blast cycle, right? So I leave it 2 months to let everything kind of clear out and go back to like, quote, normal testosterone levels. But at the same time, it's nice to kind of take a break. But then that's going to be perfect time, because it's going to be May, June for summertime, where I'm going to run another mini cycle, because I believe when you run smaller amounts, you can run them longer, but you can also take kind of shorter breaks as well. 2 months is still, like, some people run large amount of gear and only take 2 months. Some people run a large amount of gear and just never go off, which is kind of not healthy. But I think just running like the cycle I did, going off for 2 months, is sufficient. So once I get my blood work done next time and I get re-upped my test, which usually I have a little bit left over, so I'll have enough testosterone, and I still have old UGL stuff if I really need. I'll be able to bump up my dosage again to like 250, 300 test, which for some people is their TRT dose. Like when some people run cycles and they come back down to a TRT, they come back down to 250. For me, I'm like at 130, 140, going up to 250, 300. I push it a little higher than that, obviously. But then add the nandrolone on top of that, which at the dosage I run, there's a pronounced effect, obviously, by running that at least 200, 250 nandrolone. It's still there, but it's nothing that is too overpowering, if you want to put it that. And there's not like there's any negative side effects. Although there was only really one side effect I should note, which is I believe I got a little bit of a moon face. Maybe I know my mom always comments on that, or like if I'm maybe a bit of redness in the face. So I think what that is it affects. So when you run like higher amounts of testosterone, especially, testosterone converts into a whole bunch of things. Like, it converts into estrogen and such. It also affects or converts into aldosterone, which is in the kidneys, which affects things like blood pressure and such. Well, my blood pressure is not bad by any means, but I think what it can do is just increase like redness. That's what I'm thinking anyway. Maybe I'm not. Maybe there's something else going on. But yeah, she noticed that I'm just really red in the face a lot of days. I told her it's just probably my testosterone I'm doing. It's natural. It is a common side effect. I looked into it. I knew about it, but I looked into it more, and sure enough, it's a common. Moon face is common, and redness in the face. I've seen some guys do before and after pics of going on cycle or on steroids, and they were really thin, and all of a sudden their face kind of got a lot fatter. So she thought it was because of me drinking, which I do drink on occasion, but I'm nothing like crazy. And so every day she's like, "Oh, you look so like you're drinking last night or something." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I haven't drank since like a few days, and only had like a few beers. So it was nothing crazy, right?" So yeah, it's like I think that's the only real side effect I had, other than maybe a few little bit maybe extra acne, which is again natural when you're on steroids. Skin oiliness happens, and That's about it. One thing I guess I should mention too is sexually, I was kind of on fire, and that's natural when you bump test up to a certain extent. Granted that your estrogen's not too far out of range, but I find that nandrolone, even though people say, "Oh, God, it's Deca-Dick," or whatever. No, I think it's the opposite. If you're as long as you're running in the right amount, in the right ratio with testosterone, it actually increases your. I think all androgens do to an extent. Like I know Masteron really does as well, but increases your libido drastically. So yeah, I was kind of on fire for the last few months there with that. But the main thing is the gym performance was, again, nothing too crazy. Like it wasn't like my max. I don't think I would be able to do my bench press max per se, but maybe 80-90% though. If I really tried, I'd probably get like relatively close to it. That extra 30 pounds on a bench, or 40 pounds, 30 pounds on my max. It's still, that would be still something, but it's not the biggest deal. But I'm not sacrificing feeling like shit and looking like shit too, right? So that's pretty much it. I think if you want to run a cycle where you're going to get gains, you're still going to get gains. You're still going to look and feel good. All the benefits of running androgens, but without having to take any type of ancillary compound, like any ACE inhibitors, any Arimidex, nothing like that. Maybe Cialis would be the only thing maybe I would take on this top of this. But so everything was fine. Blood work was fine. Blood pressure's fine. Sleep's fine. No problems at all. But you get the benefits. I think this is kind of the range I would recommend of 300 tests. Again, so you just have that. It's a base. You don't need to run tests too high. I think a lot of guys run their tests way too high, 500 plus. Which, if that's what your goals are, it'll be like super huge, and maybe that you can. But really, all you need it for is a base, and then you add a secondary compound. I did nandrolone, where because it's relatively a potent compound, you don't even need that much. 200, 250, 300 max. Run that. You'll have a great cycle. Granted, your food, training, and sleep's on point, and you'll feel great. No problems at all. So let me know what you guys think about this video. Leave in the comment section below. Peace.